did you get into the music scene growing up in Chicago? You really
Yeah, big time. Yeah, we have house music in Chicago. Yeah.
Love it.
Birthplace of house.
Birthplace of house music. Yeah. So man,
Love
my music catalog in my mind is really, really big.
Yeah, it's got Spice Girls in there too.
Tell me what you want. What you really want. Tell me what you want.
All right, well, my next guest is a hip-hop artist who grew up on the south side of Chicago. He was basically tossed between family members and group homes all of his childhood after his mama abandoned him. And for a long time, he had no idea how deeply that trauma affected him. But once he found his way out of the pain, he made it his mission to help others get the therapy that they need to live their best lives. To date, he's sent hundreds of Chicagoans to therapy. That certainly makes him a rad human. Mental health. Let's welcome Christopher, y'all. Give it up. And you've met Dion, you've met Cody in the break. Before we talk about what you're doing now, can you kind of take us back to like how this all started?
Yeah, so I was having a pretty tough day. I was working downtown in the city of Chicago, and I couldn't afford lunch, really. And so what's better, right? Go get a cup of coffee. So I walked through the pathway. Went to go get a cup of coffee, sat down, listened to Meek Mill. Hold up, wait a minute. Y'all thought I was finished, right?
You should have done a karaoke with me today. Okay, fine, go.
Well, so look, so even in the midst of that, I just started crying.
Oh.
Started crying uncontrollably. I was getting ready to turn 40. I didn't own anything. And I was just really, really sad. And all this stuff that happened in my childhood, and I know my parents, it just fell apart. And from that moment, I knew it was time for me to go to therapy.
Yeah, isn't it funny how you think, oh no, I handled that. That's all, I handled that. I already worked through that. And no, you didn't.
No, I didn't, because I was essentially holding all the guilt and all the shame and all the unresolved trauma for 40 years.
Yeah, a lot of us are walking around like that. And you were saying, Dion, hip hop was a form of therapy for him, but like with you were saying you've had moments with comedy, right? Or breakthrough moments?
Yeah, absolutely, yeah. Like, let me ask you a question. Were you in your front room too?
Oh my God. Or your living room.
That's Chicago, for real. Don't we have front rooms?
No, yeah, we definitely have front rooms in Chicago, but for me, it was more so the basement.
Oh, you was in the basement.
I was in the basement.
Go ahead, brother.
But to have that, and I have heard you say this though, that you've worked through like some kind. Comedy is a way of
Comedy
like
is
kind of
therapeutic.
Yes,
absolutely.
I feel like music is like that too.
Oh yeah, that pain, man. That pain comes through. You know, like definitely, you got to release it somehow. And then what's tripped out is when you're in front of an audience and you talk about these things that's on your mind. So many other people are going through it and feel the same way, and it's a connection that you have. You know. Yeah,
it's funny too because we're all in different like places or whatever, like with our vocation stuff. But like even Cody, like working out is like a great place. If you're stressed, it's like the one time you will. If you see me on a treadmill, no, things aren't going well. Like I am like running from life. Like,
Most of the time, like I'm saying the things in my class that I need to hear. Like I went through really hard breakups on that bike, and that felt like therapy to me.
Yes, I was just about to say that's what it get me in the gym.
Yeah,
a breakup.
Absolutely.
As soon as you break up with me, I'll be like, yeah, all right.
Yeah.
All right.
I'll show you.
I'll show you.
That's amazing. Well, Christopher, that led you to a launch, a community effort, right? You launched a whole community effort.
Yeah. So Coffee, Hip Hop, and Mental Health started very simple. I was in therapy, and I was rehashing all this stuff that happened. And it was tough, right? Because when you're in therapy, you start to face all the stuff you sort of locked away. And I was thinking about the basement situation. So for 12 years, I was locked in the basement at 6453 South Hermitage. And that was some of the stuff I dealt with. So in therapy, it was all the unraveling, right? And so one day I fell apart, and my therapist leaned up in his seat and he said, Christopher, it wasn't your fault, you were abused. So from there, I went home and I wrote down 3 words that changed my life. Coffee, because of the mental and emotional breakdown inside of a coffee shop. Hip hop, because hip hop was my first form of therapy as an artist. And then mental health, because we wasn't taught to really deal with our mental health in the Black community. We're taught to survive.
Yeah. Even in the South, I feel like, too, you're taught to bury it.
Yes.
It's like, just bury it, under rug swept, it'll be fine. Yeah.
Absolutely.
We're also told not to snitch, not to talk,
Yeah.
to always be quiet, and you keep all that bottled inside, especially from the hood, from Chicago, where we from. You're taught that, you know what I mean? Like, and you grow up and you master that for your whole life. So, man, I commend you, brother, straight up, brother.
It's interesting because we grew up in different areas, but the same thing happened where I'm from. You're literally, you bury it all. Don't bring it up. You're not supposed to talk, especially a woman in the South. Like, it's like, no, you just keep that. You talk about that with your ladies. Like, so it's a beautiful thing, because therapy, like, I think it's the most healthy thing to be able to talk to someone outside your circle and feel like it's a safe place, and you can say things without being judged, and you're really walking yourself through, like, what's in your head. You don't even know what's in there until you start talking, and you're like, oh man, that's all in there. But your mission became clear after COVID hit, right?
Yeah, so look, COVID was at its all-time high. Closing of grocery stores on the South and West Side. People were losing jobs, the George Floyd situation, right?
Yeah.
So we couldn't do the music events anymore and the conversations. So what we did, we started to feed thousands of families in the city of Chicago. Because in Chicago, they have 8 food deserts, right? And so your gut is your second brain. You don't eat right, you don't live right. So what we started to do was make sure that we continue to sell coffee and merchandise, and we opened up an incredible coffee shop called the People's Coffee Shop in Chicago on the North Side, so we can raise $250,000 so we can send people to therapy, and we already sold more than 10,000 cups.
Wow. So how does the therapy aspect work?
Well, our goal here is to normalize therapy. That's our goal, right? But in order to do that, we have to meet people where they are. That's why we feed families. That's why we try to provide clothes. And so it's very, very simple, right? You come to our website, you click on Get Therapy. That goes to our case manager team. We work with them. We send them 3 different therapists. But the beautiful part about all of this is really meeting people where they are. And that's the problem. Most people just want to be seen, and they want to be heard. And so that's what we do with Coffee, Hip Hop, and Mental Health.
Go, Black man.
Love it. You
You go, white man.
Everybody's changed your life. My next guest says the therapy that Christopher's organization paid for was a lifesaver for her. Say hello to Faith, everybody. Such a great name. Thank you. So what was your situation when you first met Christopher? Where were you at?
Honestly, I suffered from anger issues for as long as I could remember. I mean, I personally felt like a menace in my parents' home. I would pick fights with my siblings. I would be disrespectful to my parents. When I was with my friends, like, I didn't feel seen. I didn't feel heard, even though people were showing up for me. And the truth is because I was keeping a secret. I had experienced sexual abuse from my babysitter. And so it was hard to be who I felt like I needed to be, because there was something in the way. I mean, and this followed me, like, all the way through
and to feel
college.
Not safe in your home? Wow.
Right. Like, my family trusted someone with my care, and that person upset that trust. And you're the one who carries that, right? No one else carries that. And I brought that into my adulthood. I went away to school. I started checking the boxes, right? I'm going to do all the things I'm supposed to do. But it was impacting me in a way that I couldn't really anticipate. I graduated late. I did a victory lap.
I love that.
I had fallen behind in all of my classes. And then even when I got into teaching, it was still hard for me to say that this is who I am, right? I was instead lost. I was suffering from imposter syndrome. I'm in front of students saying this and doing this, but I'm going home and I'm sleeping instead of grading. I'm doing this, and that, right? And so when I met Chris, he encouraged me to get into therapy. I was able to begin a healing journey that I hadn't really anticipated beginning. The relationship that I was in was asking me to be vulnerable, to be open. I couldn't do that. I was creating space and gaps in our relationship to the point that we just broke up. And so
it's a defense mechanism, and it's
Absolutely.
a trigger from, like, whenever you're a kid. Yeah, there's a great book. It's called The Body Keeps the Score. Yeah, and it does.
Absolutely.
Like, the trauma keeps the score, and even if you think you've worked through it, it'll trigger you, and then you'll build that wall without even knowing you're doing it.
that's exactly what happened. It's like
Yeah.
you just read my life
No,
story.
I just read the book out aloud. Yeah, my therapist gave it to me, so I was like, okay. How did Christopher help?
He gave me access. I had been searching for a way out, right? And so when he encouraged me to apply to normalized therapy, he was saying, like, take that necessary first step for you to get access to your healing. And so thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
And you want to say anything to Christopher? I just think that it's such a huge thing. Like, even like for, people that, told me, oh, you should talk to someone. There's a lot going on. There's a lot on our plates. It's, a lot of us, especially when you're saying, like, Dion, we all grew up and it's like, handle it. Handle it. So it's like when you grew up with that mentality, you're like, you just got to handle it. That's what we all know how to do. It's a beautiful thing that someone steps in and helps you and says, this is access to something that is really going to open up so many pathways for you emotionally, mentally, physically. Like, that's an amazing thing.
Yeah, thank you for being so intentional about answering the call God had on your life. We have an option, right? We can say, I'm going to do the things I say I'm going to do, or I'm going to pretend to, and you actually said, I'm going to do it. And so you saw a need out south, like as we say, right? Yeah. And you said, I'm going to show up for the community that I'm a part of.
Absolutely.
So keep going, right? Take rest when you need to, because rest is necessary. But there is a calling on your life that requires you to show up and show out, and you're doing that.
Thank you.
Christopher, so you have a bigger vision for coffee, hip hop, and mental health, right?
Yes. We're not only going to normalize therapy locally, but we're going to normalize therapy nationwide and across the country, all over the country. But to start, we're getting ready to open up our very own coffee, hip hop, and mental health flagship shop on the North Side in the city of Chicago in 2022.
That's amazing. Well, we love everything you're doing and all the ripples you're making in your community and now nationwide. So we want to help you continue to do what you want to achieve. And so we're going to give you $5,000. How's that sound?